Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2014 American Legion Post 322 and the City of Saline Annual Memorial Day Service. It's another beautiful day. Hope it shouldn't be too hot. Keep yourself hydrated, especially the marching band, everybody here. Something I always do at the beginning of every Memorial Day service, I always like to have any veteran to raise their hand, and if you're standing next to that veteran, please give them a handshake or a hug at this time. Please do so. Veterans, raise your hands. Give them a hug or a handshake. Thank you. Also, I'd like to ask a special request. You know, this Memorial Weekend and every day, when you're out shopping or going around and you see a veteran, especially a veteran that, this is for the message to the kids too. If you see that he's struggling, he or she is struggling, physically or mentally, please take a moment, just walk up and hug or shake their hand. There are a lot of servicemen and women are struggling today after many years after the battles, no matter where they served. So please remember those who you may think, oh my gosh, why is he or she walking funny or talking funny? But you know what I'm talking about. So please, again, give them respect. We had a aerial training event today, and it was by the Civil Air Patrol, the Captain A. Adam Memorial Composite Squadron. And they were on a mission today. They were actually doing aerial photography. I did request the Air Force, again, as I do every year, for the last 2 years, they've turned us down because of that ugly word, sequester budget. But thanks to the Civil Air Patrol, the crew commander today was Captain Joe Gwozdik, First Lieutenant David Smith, Second Lieutenant Matt Roberts, Second Lieutenant Joe Luciano. Thank you again, Civil Air Patrol. And we have an honor guard for the Civil Air Patrol here today helping out. We are very proud to be here today, standing in front of our Veterans Memorial. No matter what war we are remembering, most of the warriors were young kids who had promise, aspirations, and dreams. It was not to be. They died so we Americans can live our lives we want. To honor their sacrifice, all of us have an obligation to preserve our freedoms and to never forget them. I ask now that the Sergeant at Arms call the groups to attention while the bands play America. I would now like to introduce our guest chaplain this morning, Reverend Dr. James Tuttle, pastor of the First United Methodist Church of Saline.
I invite you to pray with me this morning. Eternal God, Lord of all creation, on this Memorial Day we pause to reflect upon the blessings that we have as a nation and also on the high cost of securing those blessings. Lord, help us never forget the unimaginable price paid by our fallen soldiers and their families. Help us always to feel their pain. We pray that you would heal the hearts of the families today. Thank you for those who have given their lives in service for our country, sacrificing in such a costly way for the sake of others, which includes those of us who are gathered here today. We pray today for the families and friends and those who have given their lives in service. May they be comforted in their memory. May they be reassured that the sacrifice of their loved ones contributes to the worthy cause of peace on earth. Amen.
The bands will play America the Beautiful. I'd like to introduce our Poppy Queens. Are they here? Looks like our junior Poppy Queen is a little bit shy this morning. Oh, there she comes. I'd like to introduce our senior Miss Poppy Queen, Mackenzie Green, and our junior Miss Poppy, Loretta Eberly. I want to give a special welcome to our Honorable Mayor Brian Morrow. I got to tell you, he's been so extremely supportive of this event and all veteran-related activities, and it's so good to have the mayor supporting veterans and also our city council. So at this time, I'd like to introduce our Mayor Brian Morrow for opening remarks.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you all very much. Let me begin this morning by thanking the leadership of our very own American Legion Post 322 and all the committed volunteers who work so hard to make today's events successful. I think we all owe them a round of applause. My friends, last Memorial Day I spoke about Saline's very own William Lutz, who served with great honor and great distinction in the First World War. This morning, I wish to speak of another hero from the Great War, and one with whom history has remembered quite fondly. Elvin C. York was born on December the 13th, 1887, in a two-room, log cabin in Pall Mall, Tennessee. His world was full of challenges and hardships. Regrettably, it was also a world with a detached and often disengaged America. By all accounts, he was a skilled worker and was devoted to his family. However, Alvin was also known to frequent the bars and saloons throughout north central Tennessee and was arrested several times for assault. As a young man, his life was rudderless, without direction or purpose. Alvin was somebody who desperately needed a second chance. Like our very own William Lutz, this young life was interrupted by President Wilson's call for this nation to charter a new course, to fight brutal naked aggression and help make the world safe for democracy. Alvin headed to Europe after much soul-searching and reflection, with deep faith in God, commitment to the cause of freedom, and with the understanding that redemption is always possible. Needless to say, Alvin served with great distinction. On October the 8th, 1918, his platoon participated in a small but coordinated assault on enemy lines. The effort of just 6 men resulted in the capture of 132 German prisoners of war and the recovery of numerous machine guns. This assault had a profound impact on the broader efforts of the Allied nations, resulting in subsequent strategic victories. Having demonstrated tremendous leadership and courage, Alvin was promptly promoted to sergeant, eventually received nearly 50 decorations, including the Medal of Honor. So, why is this important? Friends, firstly, it's important because it demonstrates how one person can truly make a difference, especially to the cause of freedom. But it also shows the necessity for American strength and courage. This nation has articulated in very clear and succinct language that freedom and opportunity should not be afforded only to the fortunate, but to every one of God's children. Sergeant York was unequivocal on this latter point, saying that liberty and freedom are so very precious that you do not fight and win them once and stop, but they are prizes awarded only to those people who fight to win them and keep fighting eternally to hold them. Clearly, what was true almost 100 years ago, my friends, is absolutely true today. The world needs our leadership, and it needs our strength. At this critical juncture in our history, and that's your history and your family's history, the world just cannot afford an indifferent, faint-hearted, self-indulgent America. Millions of brave men and women have had the courage, like Sergeant York, to protect our freedoms at home and extend them abroad. Every day, not just on Memorial Day, we must be committed to them, to their well-being, and to their interests. That sacrifice must work both ways. Let us remember those famous words from President John F. Kennedy, who said, as we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live them. Thank you so much. May God bless you. God bless our servicemen and women, active and retired, those no longer with us, and all those who fight to keep us safe. And may God bless America. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor Ryan Morrow. That was an outstanding speech. I'd like to ask our Legion Commander, Tim Driscoll, to come up and introduce a special guest this morning.
Good morning, everybody. One of the things we do in the Army, when something really goes good, it really goes fine, and we really want to perk each other up, we say, hoo-ah! Can I hear it out there? Can I get a hoo-ah this morning? Hoo-ah! Thank you so much for that. Why did he do that? Well, the reason I did that, this morning I've got the distinct pleasure to introduce Chris Oakes to you. Now, Chris Oakes is sitting over here. Somebody help him. because it's going to get fast coming down this hill. And he likes fast, let me tell you. Fast and redheads, by the way. German Shepherd dogs, you know, and then red hair, Irish setters. Good morning. Chris was over in Afghanistan. Before that, if you can imagine, he was in Alaska. How about that for a change of venue, right? But he goes to Afghanistan, and about a week later, and he's with the MPs, and he's on a mission on one of those nasty dirt roads out there, and don't they hit a bomb? And doesn't their beautiful truck explode? And there's horrible injuries and death, and things will never be the same again for everybody in that truck and their loved ones. And when Chris came home after his wonderful medical care down in Washington, and all the people that really, really cared about him the most, and he made so many new friends. And when this happens to you in the hospitals, you have no idea how many wonderful friends you have, because it's everybody around you, because they are there for you. And you know, pretty soon as you can figure it out and start to get your wits about you, you're there for them also. And he wanted to come home right away, but his home was a little different than it was when he left, because all the bedrooms and stuff were up on the second floor, and he couldn't really go up there anymore. And everybody talked about that a wee bit, and his mom started to tell some of the veterans that are in our midst here today about that, especially the Vietnam Veterans Chapter 310 over here, and the American Legion 322 right here, and almost every veteran organization in our county, and down by Flat Rock, because that's where his home is. And they put this beautiful, beautiful extension on the back of his mom's house, so he'd have a place to come home to and make his own and grasp himself up and move forward. And that is exactly what he has done, because his family's like that, our veterans are like that, and Chris is like that. And the other quick story I'm going to tell you is that, you know, it finally got to the point where he wanted to get out into the world, but he didn't have a vehicle. So us old fogies said, oh great, we'll get you a van. Aren't vans great? You know, you could put decals on them, and oh, you're just going to love it, you know. And he said, I don't think so. Well, how about a nice pickup truck with special doors and you know, put a cap on the back and a tape recorder? And he said, I don't think so. No. So next thing you know, we're getting phone calls. Come down and take a look at my vehicle. Come see what I got. A fire engine red convertible Camaro. That's the kind of guy he is. Can I get a hoo-ah? See how that works? I love him for being here. I love him every day. He's an inspiration to all of us. He's done as much for us as we've done for them. One of the things they do in VVA 310, Vietnam veterans, is send packages to our troops in Afghanistan, and they send it to Iraq, and we send them any place there's a veteran that could use a box of home. And he's participated in that with his heart and his soul and his family, his wonderful, wonderful family. And I just want to say, this is Chris Oakes. This is my Chris Oakes. I love him. He's our brother. Thank you, and hoo-ah! Hoo-ah!
This time I'd like to introduce our honored guest speaker, Michael Smith, Director of Washtenaw County Department of Veteran Affairs. Michael Smith was born and raised in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He graduated early from Creston High School at the age of 17 and entered the U.S. Army in March of 1983. He served on active duty in the U.S. Army for 8 years and participated in or supported the following: Operation Urgent Fury in Grenada, Operation Desert Shield, Operation Desert Storm, and Operation Provide Comfort. He received an honorable discharge from active duty and immediately joined Washtenaw County government and worked in human resources and the foster grandparent program before coming to the County Department of Veteran Affairs. Michael began as a County Veteran Service Officer and advanced to the Veteran Services Analyst position and was eventually appointed the Director by the Washtenaw County Board of Commissioners on May 18, 2011. While working in the county, he remained a member of the Army National Guard and U.S. Army Reserves until he retired from reserves in April 2004 at the rank of Sergeant First Class. At this time, I'd like to welcome our honored guest speaker, Michael Smith.
I bring you greetings today from Chairman Youssef Rabi, the Chair of the Washtenaw County Board of Commissioners, Verna McDaniel, the Washtenaw County Administrator, and Gary Bordeaux, the current commander of the Washtenaw County Council of Veterans. I was humbled at your invitation to speak to you today, so please let me first start out by saying thank you. It encourages me, it warms my heart today to participate with you in this event. There's a lot of things in the media about our country, whether from internal sources or external sources, that speak negatively about our country. But today, I know our country is great. I know our country is amazing. It's the most amazing country on this planet. When I look out and I see every generation represented today, every generation in this wonderful display of patriotism, it warms my heart. America is alive. America is strong. America is the greatest country on the planet. You see, the dangerous jobs of the employment fields that are out there are touted in TV. Like the most dangerous job, I guess, is crab fishing in the Bering Straits. No, it's not. The most dangerous business on this planet is the business of war fighting. And here in the United States, we have the most amazing war fighters on the planet. We have the greatest military on the planet, the U.S. Army, the U.S. Navy, the U.S. Marine Corps, the U.S. Coast Guard, and the U.S. Air Force. They form the armed forces of the United States to protect this country, to defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. It is the most dangerous business on the planet. And whether we are training for it or whether we are actually conducting the business of war fighting, it's the most dangerous business on the planet. And that's why we're here today, to remember those who gave their lives, the ultimate sacrifice in the business of war fighting, to keep us strong, to keep us free, so that we can have these wonderful events like we have today, so that we can have the liberties and the freedoms that we as Americans know and possess and love and cherish. And let me remind you, I know this is Memorial Day, and today is the day that we remember and honor those in our armed forces who did lay down their lives and give that ultimate sacrifice. And I know Veterans Day is the appropriate day to honor our veterans and all those who said that they would protect this country. I would challenge you today, please, to remember those war fighters who are still with us, those who stand among us today to greet our war fighters when they come home, like VVA Chapter 310, John Kinzinger, Tim Driscoll, Phil Hecker, George Perot, those wonderful men and women who said, we're not going to let those war fighters come home and be alone. We're going to stand by their sides. We're going to take care of them the same way that they took care of us. And I tell you what, as an NCO, or a non-commissioned officer, who had the privilege to take care of troops when I served in the military, I have that privilege and that honor every day as a director of Washtenaw County Department of Veterans Affairs. where I and my staff of 6 take care of 17,500 veterans that live here in Washtenaw County. Boy. They're survivors, they're dependents, their parents if they're indigent, and the indigent spouses and children of members currently serving on active duty. I have a large customer base and I love my job. You see, I get to be the advocate between the veteran, the applicant, the beneficiary, and the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, who administers their benefits, and the state of Michigan. Every day I get to go to work and beat the VA to secure benefits for the most deserving community of people on this planet. Can I get a hooah? I believe our largest retroactive payment when we beat the VA, when one time they said no, and I said, oh, I think so, and they agreed with me at the Board of Veteran Appeals, about $158,000 for that veteran and his family. But you know what? That's not enough. Because their families bore the cost of the battle beyond the battle. Think about it. You came home and you survived the jungles of Vietnam. You're home. You're going to make a life for yourself until the herbicide agents that they use there sneak up. Yes, Agent Orange, Agent Blue, Agent Purple, Agent White, Agent Yellow. Yeah, there was more than one agent. And now they're fighting the battles for their lives after the battle. Because war fighting is the most dangerous business on this planet. And protecting the United States of America is the greatest honor on this planet. And I thank you today for this honor to speak to you.
Thank you, Michael, for that wonderful, very emotional, touching speech. We will now have the placing of the wreaths. Sergeant at Arms, please escort Legionnaire Commander Tim Driscoll. Who will place a wreath upon this monument to our departed comrades as a token of our enduring memory. Sergeant at Arms, please escort Auxiliary President Pat Chappell. We will place a wreath upon this monument to our departed comrades as a token of our enduring memory. Sergeant at Arms, please escort SAL Representative Mike Cowhey. Who will place a wreath upon this monument to our departed comrades as a token of our enduring memory. Sergeant at Arms, please escort Senior Miss Poppy Queen Mackenzie Green and Junior Miss Poppy Queen Loretta Eberly. Sergeant at Arms, please escort Vietnam Veterans America Chapter 310 President Phil Hecker. Who will place a wreath upon this monument to our departed comrades as a token of our enduring memory. Each year, the members of the Vietnam Veterans America Chapter 310 stand right over the present grave of Russ Michalke. He was a Saline resident. He was killed in Vietnam in 1968. We always pay a special honor to him. Sergeant at Arms, please escort 4th degree Knights of Columbus faithful navigator Joe Yakulis. We will place a wreath upon this monument to our departed comrades as a token of our enduring memory. Sergeant at Arms, please escort Saline fighter Sergeant Kevin Dillon and Officer Jay Basso. Who will place a wreath upon this monument in commemoration of all firefighters and police officers who have given their lives in the line of duty. These flowers will wither, but the spirit for which they are a symbol will endure until the end of time. Sergeant at Arms, salute the dead.
Concord! Attend! Head! Prepare to salute our dead! Present! Halt! Prepare to load! Ready! And halt! And halt! And halt! Prepare to unload! Post up! Present! Halt! Concord! Post! Halt! Wait! Halt!
Our chaplain will now give our closing prayer.
Again, I ask that you would join me in prayer. God of peace, stir the hearts of the leaders of all nations and all who would use violence for their cause. Change those hearts and minds. Give to us and to them a passion for peace. Oh, we know, dear God, that ultimate peace will never come until your kingdom is here in all of its fullness. Nevertheless, we do ask that peace would prevail. Prevail throughout the world today, so that fewer men and women will have to sacrifice their lives. We long for a day when, like the prophet, when people will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks, when nation shall not lift up sword against nation, and neither shall they learn war anymore. We pray, O God, may your kingdom come, and may your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We offer this prayer to you, O God of grace, and God of mercy, and God of justice, and God of peace. Amen.
Thank you. Just a few closing comments. The Vietnam Veterans Chapter 310 will be conducting a memorial service at 1 p.m. today at the Vietnam Memorial, which is located at the Ypsi Township Hall. The Township's Hall is located on Huron River Drive and Whitaker Road. All are welcome to attend. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dave Walton for setting up the sound system. A special thank you to the combined bands of the Saline area schools and our Echo Taps players. They do an outstanding job. I'd like to also thank our honored guest, our mayor, our Saline City Council, Civil Air Patrol. Thank you for the aerial event, they call it. It's not a flyby. They did a job today, actually. The Saline American Legion, Post 322, Washington County Veterans Honors Rifle Squad, VVA Chapter 310 and Friends, the Cardinal O'Hara Assembly, number 489 Knights of Columbus Color Corps, and everyone who contributed anyway. Also, special thanks to our sergeants at arms. We had two today, Paul Schwimmer and George Peralt. Thank you so much, gentlemen. This is my last duty as MC for this fine event. I've done this for over 10 years. I've really thoroughly enjoyed it from the bottom of my heart. I look out here, I see the crowds, and I march in the parades. I've always enjoyed them so much, and see the respect that you pay to our veterans, deceased and present veterans. So please, I asked the mayor this morning and the city council to keep this tradition up. From General George S. Patton, Soldier's Prayer. Let me not mourn for the men who have died fighting, but rather let me be glad that such men lived. Have a good day. Thank you.